Alrighty, gang, it's 4:30 on the drive home. And Wayne, Tanya, and Brian all alongside. We got guests in the studio as well. Bring those in from our friends at HSHS St. Anthony's Memorial Hospital.
All right.
And as is common with me, Tanya will tell you this. They told me their names before.
I can remember. Plus, I have a cheat
I know one of
sheet.
them's a flower. Rose, and
Mary.
I was close. So
Yeah,
we got them sitting side by side, so this will be easy to remember. Rosemary.
Rosemary.
That's
Aren't
easy.
you?
I won't forget that now.
All good.
So, ladies, thanks for joining us this afternoon. What's going on at St. Anthony's?
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here. We are just here to kind of talk to you about pediatric occupational therapy and physical therapy today.
All right.
Okay.
That is something that St. Anthony's offers?
Yes, it is. We offer it through our rehabilitation department. And basically, we're just going to discuss and explain what the differences are between us and what we kind of offer for our kids around this area.
Okay, Rose, and don't be afraid. You can get right up on that microphone. I wouldn't say that's our weak mic, but it's kind of hollow if you're not right up on top of it.
Okay.
So. Very good. All right. Well, fill us in on what you got.
So I think that's one of the biggest questions that both Rose and I get is what is the difference between physical and occupational therapy?
Yeah.
Okay.
We both work with families to help the child reach their maximum potential so they can function independently as well as actively participate in their environments, whether it be at home, school, or in the community. So you might be wondering, what is it like? What do you do when you come for an evaluation? So when you would come in for an initial evaluation, an interview would first be completed to identify the child's needs. We will then perform an examination and evaluation to assess the child's strengths and weaknesses. Now, this is kind of where you start to see the differences between physical and occupational therapy. During a physical therapy evaluation, your child's mobility, muscle and joint function, strength and endurance, posture and balance, neuromotor development, and use of assistive technology, if any, will be assessed. Now, I know that was a lot to handle. So in your everyday life, you may see your child struggling with crawling, sitting, rolling, walking, running, jumping, skipping, hopping, or even climbing playground equipment. These are all areas that we can address in physical therapy and through the treatments that we perform.
Very good.
Okay.
All right. So, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I know when my son was younger, he had trouble with some of his fine motor skills when we brought him to St. Anthony's.
So that's actually more occupational therapy.
Well, he did both, actually,
Oh,
and
good.
did a lot of it. And it was just the fact that you guys deal with such a wide range was going to bring me right to what different types of things do you see with the therapies?
So we see a variety of different diagnoses, and I can list a few of them, but this is not all-encompassing. We see a lot of different diagnoses. I would say a very common one is developmental delay. So with this, the child does not have a diagnosis. They are just delayed in their gross or fine motor skills. We also see a lot of torticollis patients. This is also known as wry neck syndrome. So their head will be tilted to one side and rotated to the other. So we do a lot of stretching and strengthening to help the child's head be positioned in a neutral position.
Gotcha.
We see kids for plagiocephaly. That's just a big fancy word for flat head. We see kids for arthrogryposis, cerebral palsy, spina bifida, Down syndrome, autism, sensory processing disorder, and a lot of kids that have abnormalities when they're walking, such as turning their toes in or walking up on their toes. We do a lot of strengthening and stretching activities to work on this.
And this is all physical therapy.
Yes, and it also works with occupational therapy as well.
Yes,
All right.
I do work with a lot of the kids in the same diagnosis. I would say I primarily work with more developmental delay, autism. I do a lot of sensory processing disorders and behavioral concerns. I see more of that, I would say.
Okay. Now, what ages do you guys normally see all of this?
So we are not limited to anyone. We can see adults as well, but for pediatrics specifically, I would say our ages range from birth all the way up to 17 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, and somebody comes in and you guys give them, an evaluation and you kind of go through different options, I'm sure. But when it comes to treatment time, what kinds of treatments can you do?
Yeah, of course. So we provide different treatments. For as an occupational therapist, we assess development of fine motor skills, self-care tasks, sensory processing and motor skills, visual motor skills, primitive reflexes, and behavioral concerns. So, for example, in your everyday life, you may see that your child is struggling with hand fatiguing during handwriting or difficulty copying shapes or poor penmanship. Those all can affect your fine motor skills. Another area is noticing for sensory processing concerns is your child may become very sensitive or over-exaggerated to textures of their clothing. You can notice changes in their routines. Even loud noises can really affect them. So they struggle getting through their daily routine, and parents really can't even get them through their school day. So we really try to work hard in helping them figure out the right diet for them in order to get through their day appropriately. And then lastly, another thing is visual motor concerns. So you wouldn't think it, but tying your shoes, you'd have to have vision to be able to loop and swoop and pull. And a lot of kids struggle with that. Not only that, but also with their reading and handwriting abilities. So we work alongside all of those areas for my treatments. And then I know Mary works in some other areas.
So as physical therapists, we work more on developmental activities, overall strengthening, the tone management, motor learning, balance and coordination, equipment and orthotics, gait mechanics, and trying to gain flexibility. Now, I will say this is one of Rose and I's favorite parts, and is the reason we chose to work with kids. We get to play for a living.
That's cool.
Hey, nothing is wrong with that.
No, that's all good.
We do a lot of obstacle courses, which is working a lot on balance and coordination and improving motor planning. We do have to do some exercises, but we try to make it fun for the kids. One other option is aquatic physical therapy or occupational therapy. This is where we would get the kid in a pool. And if it is appropriate, this is a great intervention with a kid because we work on that strengthening and balance without the child even realizing they are working.
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
You threw in a term there that I've never heard before, gait mechanics.
Yes, so that is the kid's ability to walk. So gait is another
Okay.
word we use for walking. It's
Gotcha,
the fancy
okay.
term.
I understand. Okay.
Aha.
All right. Very good. So if you're a parent out there, if you've got a child and you're noticing some things that maybe aren't right, obviously you probably start with your doctor, your family doctor first. But what would be the way that they would get a hold of you guys? If they had questions. What's the best way to start?
Sure. So what you need to do is you can first call to determine whether you think that you need occupational or physical therapy. And if you have questions, you can definitely contact our office, which you can call our front desk, which the number is 217-347-1243. And then after you do that and you determine what you need, then you can go through your primary doctor or a developmental pediatrician, and they can help you get a referral, and they can send it our way. So you would send it to St. Anthony's Memorial Rehabilitation Department, and our fax number is 217-347-1558. Or you can also send it to our address, which is 1301 North Maple Street, Effingham, Illinois, 62401.
And you guys are inside the Richard E. Workman Sports and Wellness Complex.
Yes, just right
All
off
right.
to the left side from the front door.
Awesome.
All right.
That makes it easy too.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Very
Right?
good. Well, Rose and Mary, thank you very much for
Yeah.
coming in, and also
cool.
you guys came in with Tammy too,
Yep.
as well. So this is a lot of kids and a lot of parents struggle with this.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
they
it's
do.
it's everywhere. I mean, on average, how long have you guys been doing this?
With kids, I've been working for about 2.5 years, I would say. But I also work in early intervention as well on the side.
Yeah, and
so
I would say about 3 years.
Have you
Okay.
noticed a steady increase in the number of kids that you work with? I mean, has it gone up quite a bit?
definitely. When I first started here, we started out with probably 20 to 30 kids on our caseload. And now I have enough to build up not only my caseload with 40 kids, but also giving an extra 10 to another therapist.
Wow.
So I love the influx, and I would hope to get more because I love my kids and I love trying different things with them and, watching them learn and grow together. So
Well, I know the
That's
diagnoses of autism and the related things to go along with that, the spectrum disorder and all that stuff has been going up for years. years. So
Yeah.
good to know we have that available here
No
in
kidding.
Effingham. Awesome. Very good.
Good job.
Excellent. Ladies, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
All right.